My name is Abdul Ali Gonzalez. I also go by the name PAWS21. I have a graffiti and urban airbrush background. Today we're going to be discussing paintbrushes and understanding when and when not to use them and for what surfaces they should be used for. Today we're going to be working with a variety of 6 different brushes. Starting from right to left, we have the 3-inch flat. We have the 2-inch bristle, natural bristle. The flat is actually a synthetic, and it's a nylon blend. Okay, then you have the natural bristle, usually made from hog hair. Then we have the angle brush. This is one of my favorites. I use a 1.5 to a 2.5 inch angle brush, and we'll be discussing what they're used for later. Also, we have the flat. We have the flat brush, which is a synthetic brush. It's more of an artistic brush. Then here we have 2 other natural bristle brushes. These are squirrel quill brushes, and we'll be discussing their properties and the nature of these brushes later as well. Okay, starting from the right, we're going to go here. We're going to see what basically the flat brush, the synthetic flat brush, is a general brush. It's used for just general painting. It's great for getting into crevices, also laying down flat. The nature of this brush is that the back of the brush, you really don't want brush coming all the way up here, okay, back this way. You want to have your paint basically saturated here and here in the tip. If you look at the tip, okay, the tip basically splits. It's almost like split end hair, okay, when hair has splits at the ends of it. That's basically what's going on here, okay. And the reason for this is that these split ends allow for a nice smooth feathering effect, okay, whereas the middle portion of the brush is used to lay down the paint, the actual lay down the paint. So you could consider the middle portion of the brush as a cartridge that holds the paint, and the tip as the actual piece that releases the paint and smooths it out. So a lot of times you'll see me when I'm painting, I'll go real hard just to lay the paint down, and then I will go smooth to smooth it out, okay? And when I smooth it out, I'm only using the tip of the brush. This holds true with all the basic house paint brushes. You'll find this to be pretty much consistent, and not so much so with the natural bristles, but I mean to a lesser extent, this does have the same properties. Okay, and now with the flat brush, basically what I use the flat brush for, again, for general house painting, it's great for just, you know, coverage. But in the art field, what I use it for is for blending. And this is what I love this brush for. I don't know if you guys can see the color differentiation in the video there, but right here we're going to be dipping into some yellow paint. I'm going to just show you how I create my blends. Okay, we're going to have yellow paint here, and we're going to have some white paint here. Okay, we're going to lay down some white paint here. Okay, so now you have the yellow and the white, and I want to fade it from yellow to white. So basically what I do is I come this way and I start brushing them in together. Okay, and then you'll start seeing, I don't know if you could get that, but it's a beautiful fade, and when you layer it up like this, it creates a great fade. Okay, try to get it without shadow in there.
No, the shadow makes it look good.
Get it without the shadow in there. Okay, and if you want a stronger blend, okay, you just add a little bit more yellow and a little bit more white, and you'll have that blend going. Okay, so that's basically what I use a flat brush for, a flat synthetic brush. Now we have the natural bristle brush. Natural bristle brushes are used exclusively for oil paints. Okay, again, this is great just for a general laying down of paint. It's angled, so you can get some pretty nice cuts with it. Now when we use the synthetic brush, a lot of synthetic brushes could go both ways. You could use oils with it, and you could use acrylic latex with it. What I like the what I like about the angle brushes, especially the 1.5 inch and the 2.5 inch angle brushes, is that you're able to do some really tight lines with it. Let's say, for example, we'll do a tight line. We'll follow this line up here. Okay? And what I'm going to do is, I want you to look at my finger here, because I use my pinky as almost like a training wheel is used on a bicycle. It creates a nice balance between the brush and the hand. Okay? So I want to follow this red line precisely. I want to get a nice smooth cut. Okay? Alright. Now angle brushes are great for achieving this cut. Again, you want to come in and take a look at this. Okay? The angle brush, your control is the first group of bristles here, I would say up to half here, is laying down the paint. This end piece, right at the tip of your angle brush, that's where all your control comes in. Okay? That's where you do all your steering. Let's wrap around here. And now let's see how we're using the angle brush. And when you push the brush down, the bristles spread apart. Okay? They spread out and under. So this is great for cutting in. Okay? Just generally cutting in. Okay? You get a real tight line with the angle brush. I love the angle brushes. Okay, so now we're going to jump right over here to the squirrel quill brushes. Okay, the way the squirrel quill brush works. In theory, a squirrel quill brush is similar to a straw, whereas the straw is hollow, and if you were to dip the straw into, let's say, a cup of soda, you would have the liquid surround the straw. It'll be wet around the straw as well as inside of the straw. So when you pull the straw out, you'll have liquid inside of the straw and on the outside of the straw. As opposed to a synthetic brush, it's more equivalent to dipping a pencil into a cup of soda. You dip the pencil into a cup of soda and you pull the pencil out. The only part that is wet on the pencil would be the exterior of the pencil and not the interior. And because of that, the paint will not stretch as long with a synthetic brush as it would with a squirrel quill brush specifically. Okay, let's just put that into action. Let's see. We got to see exactly how that plays out. Okay, this is a synthetic. It's not hollow. Okay, and the paint is only going around and between the bristles, but not inside of the bristles. Okay, so we're going to see how far it can stretch. How far down we could go. Okay, so that's about as far as we could go with that. And I want you to see how thick that is. So you would think that this would hold way more paint than this one. If you guys could come in here and just zoom in on that. Look at the size difference. Okay, we're going to flatten this one out. Okay, so you can see how the size difference is. So, you know, logically we would say this one will hold more paint because it's bigger. Okay, but in reality we're going to see how far this one will stretch, this small one here. Okay, based on that theory that we just explained. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm saturating it and I'm going up and down, and look at how much it really balloons it open. Okay, why? Because all that paint is going around and within the bristles itself. Okay, so we're going to palette and just take off some of that paint. We're going to see just how far this bit of paint can stretch. Okay, here we go. I'm still going. Okay, still going. Okay, it went all the way down. This is just on one dip. Okay, I'm just now losing function. Okay, and this thing is almost, it's twice almost 4 times as long as this one. And this thing is a quarter of the size of this brush. Okay? Again, this is another squirrel quill, but being that the cut is different, it's going to have a tighter, okay, a different nature to it, but it generally has the same nature of it being a squirrel quill and it being able to stretch forever. Look at this, it's still going, okay, still going. It's almost as if it's not going to stop. It keeps going, okay. This is on one dip, still going. It's unbelievable. Look at this thing, it's still going. I don't want to bore you, I'll probably be here all night. Okay, I was on one dip, and that's because the squirrel quill brush is hollow, and the paint goes within the actual bristles itself, and it absorbs into the actual hair follicles themselves. So there you have it. Those are the basic uses of the brushes. And oh, actually no, we actually have one more. I want to show you the surface that we use it on. Is it still recording? Okay. Now, the bristles, the squirrel quill bristles, work really, really good on flat surfaces, okay, but not so good on textured surfaces. If you see this, what's happening? It's bridging, okay. We don't want you definitely don't want that when you're doing a brick wall. Definitely don't want that, especially when you're dealing with spackled walls. It looks terrible. So we need a brush that's going to actually get within those crevices and still provide us with a really tight straight line. So then that's why we go to the synthetic brushes. Now the synthetic brushes, being that it's a harder bristle, it's going to actually bounce and jump right into those crevices, whereas the squirrel quill would just lay right over the top of them. Okay. Now you want to be careful with that also when you're dealing with these synthetic brushes, because it will have power up. So basically when I come over protrusions like that, I will ever so slightly lift and then go back down. Lift and go back down. Okay? Very slightly. But that's basically a synthetic brush, and the use of a synthetic brush is great for textured surfaces, whereas the squirrel quill brushes are great for flat surfaces, and they all have their purpose. And these brushes right here, these are my starting lineup right here, and basically this is what I use in general for the majority of my work. Thanks. Bye.